You're ready to talk about what, Dylan? What is going on, everybody? Welcome into another episode of StreamerSZN, the exclusive streaming platform TV and movie podcast on the Underground Sports Philadelphia Podcast Network. It's your favorite Cowabunga boys, KB and Dylan, coming at you from Underground Studios. If you're looking on the YouTube, which you should be subscribed to, so you get full video episodes of StreamerSZN and all of your favorite Underground Sports Philadelphia shows, you probably noticed that there's something on this topic sheet this week on our nice little fancy rundown there that isn't necessarily on a streaming platform yet. Yes, this is the fair warning before the fair warning. We are talking about Multiverse of Madness on this podcast episode. So if you haven't seen it yet, but you're here for We Own This City and the rest of the topics we're going to talk about in the streaming platform multiverse news and notes, stick around, fast forward a little bit, but bookmark when we talk about Multiverse of Madness. Go watch the movie. Take up about 2.5 hours. Enjoy yourself. Treat yourself. Go get some popcorn. Get some snacks. And then come back and listen to Dylan and I talk about Multiverse of Madness. But we are going to talk about it because there are a lot of things that relate to WandaVision that we talked about a year and a half ago on this podcast.
What If as well.
So, What If, the original Doctor Strange movie, which is available on Disney+, Infinity War, which is available on Disney+, and a whole lot more. So, buckle up. But we are going to talk about We Own This City because Dylan watched episode 1. We're going to get his thoughts on it, and I'll talk about episode 3 as well. We got some business news, not our business, but streaming business news, which is also very exciting. And then, of course, we'll get into everybody's favorite segment, the streaming platform, Multiverse News and Notes. But before we get started, make sure you're following us on the socials at StreamerSZN on Twitter and on Instagram. Follow Dylan on Twitter at Dylan Mazzola. Follow me at KBIZZL311. Check out the website, undergroundsportsphiladelphia.com, for all of our written content. Subscribe to the podcast feeds, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts, we are there. Dylan, just an update for you and for the people. We're still cooking on the charts globally, but we want to get there domestically too. So go subscribe to the podcast feeds. If you're already subscribed, unsubscribe and resubscribe. Leave a 5-star rating and review. And of course, right now, we are number 67 on the TV reviews chart in Saudi Arabia and number 164 in Austria. So we're still cooking in our two countries over there. Shout out to our Saudi Arabian and Austrian listeners. But Dylan, in the podcast feeds on Apple Podcasts, what should they be leaving in those podcast reviews?
Well, first of all, you're going to click it. You're going to subscribe if you haven't already, and you're going to leave a 5-star review. But in that 5-star review, you're going to leave recommendations for Kyle and us to watch. And that's really it. We'll take anything. It doesn't matter the streaming service between Kyle and I, or we can third party it.
Pretty sure we have access to every streaming platform.
Yeah, I was gonna say between you and I think we have everything.
Because I just got Hulu, so I have Hulu here, and then Matt and Sarah have Paramount Plus because Matt has it for Liverpool soccer. So
did you know Hulu has live sports?
No free ads. But yeah, we have everything. So every streaming platform out there, probably except for like Crunchyroll and Shudder, which if Shudder wants to sponsor this podcast, we'll go all out. Because
I actually have someone's login to Crunchyroll. So bada bing, bada boom.
So there you go. Shudder, if you want to, I know they sponsor podcasts. Dylan's family and household goes all out for Halloween. We'll make Halloween year round if Shudder wants to sponsor this podcast.
Boom, I love it.
So subscribe to the podcast feeds, 5-star ratings and reviews on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and of course, where we're cooking right now, Dylan, is on YouTube. Go subscribe to the Underground Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel. You get full video episodes, fun, reaction videos, all that good stuff. Christian's cooking up a bunch of trailer reaction videos that are going to be coming to the YouTube channel very soon. So you don't want to miss out on that. So go subscribe, Underground Sports Philadelphia, search it on YouTube, and subscribe to the channel. We dropped a new nice little nice official teaser today for a docuseries coming to the YouTube channel. So go check us out on the YouTube. Hit the like button, subscribe, bell icon, comment down below. with suggestions of things you want to watch and get the comment section cooking on YouTube. Big thank you to our sponsors who make this show happen. Tomahawk Shades. Let me tell you guys, Tomahawk Shades has been saving my life this week. Your boy has been working inventory hours at the day job, and the eyes have been bleeding. Not literally.
You need those shades.
The Blue Light Plus glasses have come in clutch this week for your boy. The sunglasses have come in clutch this week for your boy, and they can come in clutch for you.
Clutch for me this week.
There you go. See, look, our sponsors are balling out for us. You guys can go to TomahawkShades.com, use code USP at checkout for 25% off your order from Tomahawk Shades at TomahawkShades.com. Promo code USP for 25% off. That's the blue light glasses, the sunglasses, shirts, hoodies, you name it, they got it. TomahawkShades.com, promo code USP for 25% off your order. Kenwood Beer. I'm sure Dylan had a fantastic time with the Kennys last week. You guys can go to KenwoodBeer.com and use the Kenny tracker. So you've got Kenwood Beer on tap in the Philadelphia area. You got to be 21 or older to do so. And, of course, please drink responsibly. And the homies over at Bino Board. Go to BinoBoard.com and use our code BINOUSP. That's BINHOUSP for 10% off your order at BinoBoard.com. Dylan, first things first. How was the birthday? How was the birthday celebration? How did we enjoy another trip around the multiverse?
It was good. It was good. I appreciate you asking. We talked about it before on the show. It seems like every year of my life, early May, May 5th, May 4th, May 3rd, May 6th, in that range, I always get a Star Wars or like a Marvel or like a blockbuster-esque film. And I literally, it's true, I got Multiverse of Madness, and I believe it's slated, the new Guardians movie is slated to be my birthday next year. So, pretty good. My brother got me this weird gag gift. I'm going to put it on camera.
That's incredible. That's amazing.
It's a
Squirtle.
It's a bulky Squirtle, bro. No.
That's amazing.
So yeah, it was fun between Multiverse of Madness and that, a couple other things. It was nice. It was nice. Happy
birthday to the boy. If you guys didn't Venmo Dylan on his birthday, you still can. Go back and watch last week's episode. He dropped the Venmo for you guys. So drop it in there so he can go get more snacks and drinks and things so we can go see Multiverse of Madness again, okay? But before we get into Multiverse of Madness and breaking down that movie, we're going to get into We Own This City. And Dylan, I'm going to let you take the reins. You watched episode 1.
I'll talk about it.
Give me your thoughts. Give me your just break it down for me from what you saw from this and where you expect the show to be going from your perspective.
Yeah, so my breakdown's not going to be that. Like, I feel like that first episode, it's interesting because it starts to reflect and show like things that are very true, obviously, to this day. And like you said before, it's just weird going back in time, so to speak, because the time difference really isn't that much. But the difference still feels like I'm like, holy shit, I'm old. Like, looking back, it was just interesting to me because I've watched other like law enforcement type shows, and I like how this aspect is actively trying to show like police corruption. And it's like, I guess the first episode only kind of gives you like little drops of it. Like, I know you were explaining last week, episode 2 goes into the backstory of Jon Bernthal's character, which I'm excited. That one cop, I forget his name, is definitely giving off racist vibes. It's the first second I saw him, I knew, which is not cool. I guess it's a good job for the actor, though, making me already hate him. But real life, whoever that guy is, it's on sight, bro, these hands.
Facts.
No, it's just interesting. I was so captivated by, like, the little things, just like the time jump and the scenery. I'm trying to think, because I watched it after a night of Kenwoods. So
responsible Kenwoods.
Yeah, responsible. Of course. Only like 1 or 2. No, but I'm trying to think. But like, I just recalled it as a plot building, and I just recalled me liking, like, not actually liking the real person, but me liking Jon Bernthal's character in terms of the series. The older, like, dude in charge seems kind of shady. Well, obviously he's shady. And then I kind of I don't want to say feel bad, but I wondered, like, I put myself in the shoes of the commissioner or the guy
Hmm.
who got inherited the shitty situation. And I was wondering, I'm sure everyone was watching it. You're like, how would you have done things differently? Or like, what would you have done if you were placed in a situation in which, like, you were, I guess, goaded to essentially become
Hmm.
a crooked police officer? Because it seems like they waste no time in getting you to join like the crooked police, like in terms of like, you know what I mean? Like if they
Yeah.
see, I guess, promise. I'm sure they'll talk about it more, but not promise. I guess if they see that you can be compliant, I don't know.
Hmm.
I'm not a crooked police officer, so I don't know how that works.
Yeah, we don't have any experience in being crooked cops.
Yeah,
Yeah, I agree. I think the first episode it lays a lot of the foundation to like get you into the
yeah,
series and like put you kind of back because like you said, like it's not that far off in history. Like it's less than a decade old of when these
yeah,
events are taking place, but it is one of those reality checks where it's like, holy shit, we are old.
yeah,
Because when this was going on, Dylan and I were like just out of high school. Like
yeah,
this is 3 years out of high school for me, 1 year out of high school for you. So it's like real like relative, and you know it's really not that far back in history. But
yeah. And we were naive young adults not paying attention to that kind of thing
right,
because that's
like
just nature of growing
we were
up.
naive, we were kids.
Yeah,
And I think what did you think when you're watching Jon Bernthal and then you remember that he's method acting?
dude, that man's gonna get himself an award sooner or later. His acting is crazy.
I also love that his southern accent of his normal characters that he plays still kind of peeks through in the Baltimore Delco-y accent as well, where he like
Yeah,
picks up on it, but he still runs with it. I think it's great.
no, it's his accent is kind of interesting. I was like listening to that and I was like, whoa, whoa, whoa.
It's like The Walking Dead meets The Punisher meets Delco.
Yeah, I can say I said it in the last episode. I say it again. It freaking really sucks that I love the man. He's an angel in real life. It just sucks that he's gonna. I mean, I only got snippets of it, but I know he's playing a shitbag for all
What
purposes of the
what did you
show.
think of that ending of episode 1 where they're sitting in that kind of like interrogation room and he's like, "Do you know who I am?"
I was like, yo, Frank Castle's coming out.
Ooh. I had like I when I watched that scene, I got chills. I was like, "All right, he's going to win an award for this."
He's played a crooked character before, though. He was in Wolf of Wall Street. Everyone forgets that.
Mhm.
So it's not
So,
his first rodeo in being a not law. Well, even Frank Castle's not a
yeah.
law-abiding citizen. I mean, we like to think he is, but he's not. So yeah, Jon Bernthal knows. Yeah, even in Walking Dead, his character. Yeah, yeah. Now I'm thinking about it. Oh God, Fury. Yeah, yeah. Okay, so Jon Bernthal clearly has a has a type.
He's got a type. Episode 3 was wild. It kind of continued to build off of episode 2. Got you deeper and deeper into once he figured out this path of being corrupt and being a dirty cop, how far he was willing to take it. I'll give you spoiler no context, Dylan. We see some boobies in episode 3. That I was not expecting as I watched this at like 3:30 in the afternoon. There is it. You really start to feel for the guy who stepped in as like the commissioner or like the head police, like the chief of
Okay,
police.
so that feeling was right for me. Episode 1, like yeah, okay, that's right.
Like you really, he kind of draws back the curtain a little bit of like his situation and where he's coming from and why he's not really able to act on a lot of the things that are going on.
Gotcha.
You get more into how the guy that you end up hating, who is a fantastic actor, but the real dirty cop, how he just continued to move up the ranks, and they take him out of one sector because of all the complaints he's getting, and then they move him to a different one that's almost kind of like a promotion for him, for lack of a better term, and you get more and more testimonies from guys as they get interrogated, and you kind of start to see Jon Bernthal go down that dark, deep rabbit hole of like, okay, he's gonna turn into a real piece of shit real soon. There's a lot of ransacking of places as they try to look for things that's gonna get them, bonuses and get them more money, get them more, just approval and move up the ranks. It's truly wild. And then on the opposite side, you're seeing the lawyer from the Civil Rights Department kind of continuing to weave her way into the situation, figure out why the hell are, arrests down when crime is up, and, are cops just, refusing to make arrests because of the Freddie Gray situation. You get an inside look at that. It really is so, like, the storytelling of this show is so well done. And next, like, I love that they give you teasers for the following week too, because episode 4, I don't know if HBO Max has taken something out of Disney Plus's book or out of Marvel's book, because episode 4, Dylan, is gonna be bonkos land, because the teaser they give us is insane. I can't wait. This show just continues to really be on a trajectory that is putting it in a category of all time in my book. And then we also see the character who is Marlo in The Wire. We see more of his kind of path, and he's a detective that's kind of working desk duty in episode 1. You see him out on the streets a little bit more in episode 3, and you kind of see where he's starting to go and trying to keep things going in the neighborhood. He's working with Jon Bernthal's character a little bit. I'm very intrigued to see the path that his character goes down, because I know when we tweeted out the trailer, everyone was like, oh, Marlo's an op now. Like, Marlo's, working for the cops. That's crazy. I don't know what path in the road he's going to take, but this week's episode really flipped the switch, in my opinion, on just like, okay, like, his character's really important now. Like, before it seemed like he was kind of like ancillary almost, and it was just like, oh yeah, he was part of the, the police force, and then he got promoted. He's working as a detective now. He's doing bigger things, but now he's into the game. He's a main character, and I'm very excited to see where his path takes him. Because now we're halfway through, the series, because it's a 6-episode miniseries, which is, the more and more I think about it, I'm like, can we just get more than 6 episodes for these damn streaming platform shows? Can we take a book out of WandaVision and give us 9?
That's all you get. That's all you get. 6. That sounds entertaining though.
What would you rate episode 1 in your book?
It's plot building, but I'd still say it's like a solid 8.2, 8.3 out of 10. It's not bad. It's good. Very good. It's just, I'm sure it'll go up as I watch it more. Hopefully I watch more of it. I mean, not hopefully I will, just hopefully I remember to watch all of it.
Yeah, episode 3, I'm giving it like a 9.2. It's really good. There's a lot of just like plot building along with just like plot development as well, and it builds off of episode 2, which I really enjoyed. So if you're not watching We Own the City, you're doing your streaming platform viewership wrong. So go watch that thing. It airs on regular HBO Monday nights at 9 o'clock, and then it's on HBO Max as well. So go watch that thing. It's not an ad, but it's that good that we want you guys to go watch and watch along with us. And everybody, oh no, go ahead.
No, I was gonna go probably the same length you're getting ready to go to. I was gonna say, if you haven't watched Multiverse of Madness,
this is your time. This is your time to pause. We are gonna give you a clean 10 seconds of pausing. I'm gonna start it right now. This is your warning. At 18:45 on the podcast, this is your warning. Turn the podcast off if you have not seen Multiverse of Madness, or fast forward through, and we'll let you know when we finish talking about it. It will be in the show notes. Okay, everybody, it is time. Multiverse of Madness is here, and I gotta say this first. To all the casual Marvel fans, fuck you. Stop bashing this movie, because that has been the difference from what I have gathered, Dylan, from people I have talked to. The casual Marvel fans who don't really, or who just like watched Marvel stuff for the first time and really binged through everything and haven't like built upon the lore and the storylines, or don't know the comic lore or how adjacent this was to the comics. Your opinion is wrong. It's okay to be wrong sometimes. Multiverse of Madness is a masterpiece. A literal masterpiece. I loved this movie. I went to lengths when I was describing it to people the day I saw it that it might be a top 5 Marvel movie of all time. Just for the story that it was,
Ooh.
the payoff that's going to come from it,
Oh.
and the lore that is behind this movie that is going to potentially set up the next decade of the MCU.
My man's.
That is how I feel about this movie. I think it's sensational. Dylan, your initial thoughts before we get into the movie on Multiverse of Madness.
Well, I definitely don't agree with the passive Marvel fans. I don't think I'm as passionate as you just laid it out. I did still love it. It was cool to see a movie that was, I guess, less fan servicey, because it would have been more fan servicey if they had like a bazillion cameos, which I feel like that's why some people are ripping it, because they wanted to see like this guy and this guy and this guy and this guy.
I think so many people had wild expectations that...
Well, that would take away from the movie. I mean, I have a couple negative like takeaways. They're not like movie like ruining. Like I wouldn't, for me, like you said top 5, I'll do like not one better, but like do the same vibe. Like I would say it's definitely top 10 of Marvel, which is still a compliment.
Totally. Think about all the Marvel movies that are out there.
Yeah. I'm just not sure where it would rank. That could be a segment going forward later on that you and I could re-rank all the Marvel entities and see where our lists compare. But no, initial reaction, it was good. It was really good. It was enjoyable. Didn't feel, obviously, it wasn't that long. It felt good. The story was not rushed. Pacing was decent. There was like one time where it dragged a little bit, but other than that, it was good, enjoyable. I have a couple gripes, but I'll talk about them in a second. They're like funny ones though. Like when I say it, you'll be like, "Oh, okay, I get that."
Were you as surprised as I was that the movie started off the way that it did?
Yeah.
It was kind of a pleasant surprise once it happened and you kind of figured out what the story building was throughout the movie. But I was not expecting the movie to kick off with Defender Strange at all.
No. And then it cuts from that to Strange at a wedding of the woman. Well, it kind of shoots the next shot like you could be at a wedding or a funeral. It doesn't show you. It just shows him talking and then getting sassed by some random ass nobody. It's like, yeah, you make the right choice, I guess. Like, yeah, cool, bro. Like, my man saw literally a bazillion possibilities.
The guy that was sitting in the pew with him, he was the other doctor from the original Doctor Strange movie.
Oh.
I didn't recognize him at first either, but then I went back and, like, looked at some things, because I was like, this seems like too, like, poignant of a character to bring up and it cool. Not be like a callback to something, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's awesome. I did not know that. So that was cool. And you see him with, celebrating his I can't even say his wife, his almost wife. And I think that's really crazy. And this is where it comes and ties into StreamerSZN, because when you realize, stop and think, this is the last time he's going to hang out and see Christine, right? That's her name? Christine, right?
Christine Palmer, yeah.
Because we learned her death is an absolute point in time.
Which, do you find it funny that her last name is Palmer and he injured his hands?
It is pretty funny. I didn't realize that. Point is, though, that this could be one of the very last times that Doctor Strange sees his Christine. Because her time is up. Not up yet, but it's limited, you know what I mean? Like, Christine's died. That's pretty big point. And I'll save it for later, but the end credit scene further proves that point. So
yeah, but we get Defender Strange kicking things off with America Chavez. We get Spanish speaking Marvel hero, which I loved. First LGBTQ superhero in the MCU with America Chavez as well, which is amazing. As Phase 4 continues to just show more and more representation throughout the MCU. And America Chavez isn't going anywhere, ladies and gentlemen. Let that be known. She is going to be part of the Young Avengers, full blown. And, to get the Ribbon Monster in there, and then we get Gargantos. I was not expecting those to be summoned by Wanda. I thought that was kind of just going to be more after effects of, things that happened with Spider-Man No Way Home, or like the multiverse is just all out of whack and stuff like that. But I like that they came from Wanda. I like that Wong absolutely clowned Doctor Strange for barely even knowing how to speak English. Wong is just becoming more and more of a fantastic character in the MCU, and I love
he's
that.
a Sorcerer Supreme right now.
Yeah, I love it. And I love the callback to Spider-Man No Way Home, where it's like they say, yeah, Spider-Man, but they don't mention Peter Parker because they don't know Peter Parker is Spider-Man. So I love that. I love the continuity. Keep it up, Marvel. But then I also love Elizabeth Olsen in this movie. She was a rock star. I wasn't expecting her to be anything less, but man, she was incredible in this movie.
Yeah, no, definitely one of the better takeaways. She steals the show from her initial scene when she's capping and making you think you're seeing a beautiful apple orchard, when in reality it's just death. And that's kind of when I forget when the way she like walked or looked at Strange, I already knew something was up. And I'm not going to say I put together that she was the one who sent the monsters, but I've called this. No, I've called this. I'm sure we all have. But I've been telling Kyle on the episodes that she's the bad guy, which makes sense. So
Cue the Billy Eyes.
Yeah, it sets it up very early. As soon as she mistakenly says America Chavez's name, like aloud in the movie without Doctor Strange saying it, he's like, I didn't say her name, or she's like, you didn't say his name, right? And he's like, yep. And that's when it's funny because I saw people clowning that part of the movie. They were like, yo, Doctor Strange like got all those people killed. I was like, no, Wanda already knew. She was there. She's been the one sending monsters. Doctor Strange was just trying to, I think he probably knew that or had a suspicion, and that was his way of obviously confirming it. Like, he wasn't even asking for help. Rather, I think he was just trying to confirm or deny whether she was the one responsible, which he got the answer for.
Yeah, 100%. To rewind a little bit, too, I loved a lot of the new spells we saw from Doctor Strange as well. His giant hands coming out and picking up that telephone pole to absolutely skewer Gargantos was incredible. Also, Gargantos is fucking nasty. Like,
yeah,
so disgusting. And let's also say, this is Marvel's first true horror movie, which is amazing. Sam Raimi did a great job depicting the horror and the gore and just the nastiness.
Agreed.
I loved, do you know somebody? And then we get the WandaVision music too, which tugged at the heartstrings before we went to, the orchard and everything. Doctor Strange saying, I'll get you back on the lunchbox as well. That was a great little real life Easter egg because there is an Avengers lunchbox with the Scarlet Witch on it. And seeing everything go from that orchard into, like you said, just scorched hell pretty much. It was just like, okay, Wanda's been doing some things with the Darkhold since we last saw her at the end of WandaVision, because the hex was so minimal as opposed to what we saw, fading away from this orchard into being this, scorched earth. And it really goes to show you how powerful the Darkhold can be when it possesses somebody, and it makes them crave that extra power, and shows how much of a, just massive, I guess for lack of a better term, like artifact it is in the MCU. Yeah. And we get more of the Darkhold later on as well. And yes, Wanda's basically like, yeah, this is Wanda telling you, like, to hand over America Chavez. Next time it's going to be the Scarlet Witch. And I was like, ooh, let's go, Elizabeth Olsen. Talk yo shit. So then they go to Camertage, and we get the Masters of the Mystic Arts ready to fortify, everything. We get, the other sorcerers from the other, the other spots where, it's one in London, one in Hong Kong.
Yep, the other Masters.
Because I don't know if you noticed, too, in the background of the one from London, there was the telephone booth, because that always signifies London.
Yes, sir. And also the accent when it came out.
Yeah. I was
And then
like,
we
I
proceed
got
to
big Harry Potter 4 vibes too, where you
yeah,
had the different schools and stuff.
that's true. I hear that. And then we proceed to see a bunch of students die. It sounds terrible,
Yeah,
but
the
that's what
body
happened.
count in this movie is wild.
Well, it's high. It's all due to Wanda, and I hate to be that guy, but as she's as she's murking more people, you're watching it. You're like, between this and Westview, I don't know if you're coming back from this, sweetie. Like, you've done some bad now.
This is chaos magic, Wanda. So then we get
Wanda's
America
watch, by the way.
Chavez punching open a star portal, which I love that it's like the star portal, the way that it's like CGI'd into the MCU is amazing. It looks
Yeah,
so
looks
cool.
cool.
They flee into the multiverse, her and Doctor Strange, and the sequence of going through the multiverse was so cool.
That was very cool.
And there's an Easter egg that is from What If that a lot of people are thinking is putting a place in the Star Wars universe in the MCU. It's the I'm blanking on the name of it, but it's where we see
Mustafar?
Obi-Wan. Yes. There's like the the lava and the Tower of Mustafar.
Yeah. You see, there was the Watcher one, the World 2, a bunch of the heads they passed through when they were doing it.
Yeah, so a lot of people were saying it's actually the Living Tribunal, which is even
Mm.
cooler. And in that universe, they're just saying, oh, like the heads are detached because it shows, how crazy the multiverse is, which it is confirmed that in Infinity War or Endgame, I forget which one, but the Russo brothers said that Doctor Strange and Thanos were going to like go to trial with the Living Tribunal for Thanos doing the snap and everything, and they just scrapped it from the script. So Living Tribunal Easter egg in the MCU, I think, portrays a lot of things to come down the pipeline.
Yeah, no, the whole movie sets up a lot of things. It puts a lot of things into fruition, or a lot of things can happen because of the movie now. I mean, the whole multiverse itself, like we have now we've had two properties being movies, and we've had a show based upon this realm of possibilities. So it's expanding the ideology of like what can and cannot happen.
So we get you know Wanda trapped in kind of like the mirror dimension almost, to no
R.I.P.
avail.
Wong.
And then we go through the multiverse. Like I said, the paint universe stood out to me. That was super cool the way they
It was
portrayed
very
that.
cool. Would
The
not want to be there
animated
with that.
universe was super cool. And then we land in Earth 838, a futuristic looking New York City, where things are all backwards. You walk on red, you stop on green. And they're looking for, the counterpart of Doctor Strange in this universe, but that counterpart has apparently died, allegedly, defeating Thanos. And instead, they are greeted by this universe's Sorcerer Supreme, Baron Mordo. Baron Carl Mordo, which is a pull from the comics, everybody. So he invites them in to sit down for tea, and they warn him about the Scarlet Witch, and then he's like, hey, I put some things in your tea. You're the real threat to the multiverse. And then that's when they wake up in what we've seen this in the trailer, obviously, when they're in those, prison cells, pretty much. Very reminiscent of the things Doctor Strange locked up all the Spider-Man villains in No Way Home. And we meet Earth 838's Christine Palmer, who works there as a scientist to help managing the multiverse. You see, like, the distinction of the Stranges is with their hand injuries, which I thought was really cool.
Yeah.
And that kind of tells you the subtle differences in, different variants of
You see
characters.
the Ultron bots
Ultron bots roll out.
assemble.
They looked really cool. I was very impressed by the way that they looked.
Yeah, it's nice to know that one world was able to control them and not have them turn into murderous kill machines.
Which, there's a lot of theories about who created them. Obviously, we didn't get the Ultimate Iron Man cameo that everybody
Yeah.
thought we were going to get, But there is a run in the comics where the Ultron Sentries are actually created by Hank Pym. And I don't know if you noticed, there was that seat empty at the end of the Illuminati run. That a lot of people are thinking, oh, maybe that's Hank Pym. Maybe, you know.
I think, yes, I think they did that on purpose, like the empty seat, because you obviously learn that, well, you know, not learn, you see the statue, Doctor Strange is dead in this world. So you can infer that maybe that was his seat, but then you also can stretch the, not the truth, but like stretch what you see and, you know, infer maybe it was him, Hank Pym, maybe it was Iron Man's, maybe it was, you know what I mean? There's a couple of options.
Namor.
Especially with especially with Illuminati, they have more than that many, they have, you know, a handful of members, so they could do other options.
And everybody out there, let us say this. This is Earth 838's Illuminati. Okay? Let me repeat that. This is Earth 838's Illuminati. Dylan and I are going to break this down because we've been very excited about where the Illuminati can take the MCU as a whole. But we get introduced to Earth 838 Illuminati, which consists of Captain Peggy Carter, the first Avenger. Very, very important that they said the first Avenger, because that means there are other Avengers in that universe.
And that means that she literally probably mirrored our Captain America's story for them to say that like that.
And when they introduce her, Captain America's theme plays, which I think is very cool. And also, if you go back to What If, remember, Captain Carter traveled through the multiverse and wound up in a different multiverse. So to me, I don't know if you thought about this, Dylan, but to me, the multiverse that she ended up in when she got spit out of that squid monster, that's potentially Earth 838.
It's true.
When she meets up with Nick Fury and Hawkeye.
That's true.
Because we also get a Hawkeye mention, you know, the guy with the mohawk.
Love it.
So we get Captain Peggy Carter, played by Haley Atwell, which is fantastic. We get Blackagar Boltagon, a.k.a. Black Bolt, who is reprised from the Inhumans ABC short-lived series. This time tweaked with his actual tuning fork on his forehead. Captain Maria Rambeau, who is who we saw in the trailers bursting through that wall as pretty much Captain Marvel.
Yep.
And we get the ultimate fan cast that everybody's been talking about. We've talked about. Cue the Office music. Jim Palmer. You are Mr. Fantastic. John Krasinski, Mr. Fantastic. Which, I don't know if I was expecting it, but man, did it make me happy.
It made me very happy. It made me happy to see him. It made me happy to see Patrick Stewart, Sir Patrick Stewart, back as Professor Charles Xavier, which was cool because he was the animated version.
Yes, which we talked about last week. We were right about that.
Yeah, so getting both of them is awesome. And let me go off Kyle's point. Remember, this is this universe's version of these characters, meaning what happens in a couple seconds when we talk about it does not mean that they will not show up in our universe in some other way, because every universe, you know, has a character that is exactly the same or like a character that is represented.
Which also means there's other Illuminati lineups in these other multiverses, too.
Which means that there is a Reed Richards and a Charles Xavier in our Earth, which we learn that our Earth is the main Earth of the series, similar to how there is a main Earth in the comics. Although I have seen reports saying that the MCU is like Earth 1999 or something.
So yeah, it was always kind of inferred that it was Earth 199999 until now. Like, now it is officially canon that the MCU is also Earth 616, which is the Marvel comic universe as well.
Yeah, that's the main storybook. That's the main storyline. So I mean, the comic one, yeah. So that's an interesting. That's really one of the most important things we got in this entire movie.
100%. That's
Just
so
that,
important.
just that alone.
And we get Professor X, Charles Xavier, in his animated garb in the yellow hover cart, which everybody knows. When Dylan and I talked about Disney Plus Day a few months back, X-Men 97's coming back to Disney Plus,
Yes, sir.
which all but confirms in my book, Dylan, X-Men 97 is MCU canon now.
Agreed. I can't wait for that to come back. Almost like how I couldn't wait for the Illuminati to do something in this gosh darn film. And well, let's see. One of them turns into spaghetti. One of them blows himself up. Hey
One
man,
gets sliced in half.
My power's based around talking. Oh, I don't have a mouth. Let me talk. And then the other one gets crushed and then sliced in half. Yeah, and then poor Charles Xavier, man. Man's had 3 brutal deaths in his MC, or I guess technically now it's all MCU,
Yeah.
but in his superhero movies, he dies 3 brutally ways. So
now with the Illuminati, it's also important to remember that the original Earth 616 Illuminati lineup from the comics is Tony Stark, Iron Man, Namor, Charles Xavier, Black Bolt, Doctor Strange, Mr. Fantastic.
Of course.
At one point, Black Panther is approached to join, but declines. And it's basically Earth 616's Illuminati is a makeup of just like the highest powers that be of every, group in the Marvel universe. So you have the X-Men, you have, the Avengers, you have the Sorcerer Supreme, you have the leader of Atlantis with Namor, you have Mr. Fantastic, you have all of these powers that be. This is important because they exist all together in Earth 838. These groups exist together in other multiverses. You have the Inhumans. You have the Terrigen Mist, because that's what Black Bolt, he's the keeper of the Terrigen Mist, which could pop up in Miss Marvel, because that's how she gets her powers in the comics. So you have the Inhumans and Terrigen Mist. You have the X-Men and mutants. You have the Fantastic Four existing all together in a universe, which means that happens in other multiverses. That it all but confirms, full-blown, without saying it, mutants exist in the MCU, Inhumans exist in the MCU, and the Fantastic Four exists in the MCU.
Kyle's preaching right now. That whole scene or sequences of scenes is the most important takeaway in the entire movie.
It's one of the biggest moments in MCU history.
Yeah, it just sets it up for, like, they go on a chase after, and then the movie shortly becomes concluded after that. The way in which Wanda learns she's bad is cool, but like that lets everyone know, like, yeah, my favorite characters exist in other universes, or oh shit, I might get this version of this character, and now they can do that, and now they might even do some universe hopping, because they literally have the woman who can hop through universes, and then also they introduce the character or characters, being that Reed Richards' offspring are super intelligent, both of them, and like they're
Sue Storm is alive.
His children are actually more OP than he is.
Yep.
So that universe, all he had to do was A, not open his mouth like a dumbass and get them all killed, and B, if he just called his kids and his wife on speed dial, they probably could have beat up Wanda there. I'm not kidding.
Which
I know
also,
Wanda's really powerful, but just
not only him saying that Sue Storm is alive and that he has kids, that confirms the lineage that leads to Nathaniel Richards, a.k.a. Kang the Conqueror, which is the big bad for this phase of the MCU, everybody.
Yeah.
31st century, remember from Loki, the multiversal war, it's a coming. It's a coming.
That's going to be exciting. That's my one big gripe, was the Illuminati getting folded so easily, and it just came from John Krasinski kind of shooting themselves in the foot. Like, hey, this guy has super powerful talk superhero power. Talk, boy. And then, like, you know what I mean? Like,
I
Wanda's
think
like, yeah,
I think
what
from
now?
that perspective, it was more so just the panic and then like the distraughtness of like, oh my god, like what is happening? Like I don't know what to do, and then
Yeah,
that's what
yeah,
happened.
it's true. I also liked how Captain Marvel and Captain America in this universe just waited until everyone else was dead, and then they were like, now, superhero stuff. Let's go.
Also, I saw a theory too, and I kind of agree with it. The reason Captain Marvel got bodied the way that she did,
Hmm.
or I should say Captain Maria Rambeau, is because remember back in WandaVision when Agatha's mom has her, back in Salem, like chained up to the stake or whatever, but then
Yeah,
Agatha absorbs all their power and everything
this was,
because she had been skimming through the dark hold and stuff like that. Wanda did the same thing to Maria Rambeau and absorbed her power, and that's how she was able to weaken her and crush her.
it's a good point. It's a good point. That makes more sense. The Captain America, Captain Carter death was good. I wasn't a fan of the chase scene either. I thought it was silly how I guess Wanda was tired at that point and she was daywalking. It was just funny how they're just closing doors and she was like, "Yep, yep, yep, no, no."
I
Um,
liked it from a sense because it was very Sam Raimi and it was very
that's
like
true. That's true.
suspenseful. Which for anybody that knows me, horror movies I typically laugh at them because they're very predictable. This movie got me a bunch of times where I was like, oh shit, like jumping out of my skin, especially when Wanda climbed through that gong.
There was, yeah, that was a
That
good, that was a
creeped
good
the
jump scare.
shit out of me. And then there is a part in that scene too when they're covering up the puddles and stuff.
Hmm.
Very quickly, you see Wanda's eye rolling through one of the puddles.
So
Very creepy. Very job well done
I
by
want
Sam
to say
Raimi.
something about a cameo, the first cameo. So if you don't realize it, Sam Raimi directed the Ash versus the Evil Dead, which is why he had Bruce Campbell in there. B, I'm not sure if you know this one. Bruce Campbell was slated to play Mysterio if we
Mm-hmm.
ever got an additional Spider-Man in the Sam Raimi Spider-Man verse. So him being in there is an Easter egg in itself of like, hey, this is what you could have got, which makes it even funnier because Bruce Campbell tweeted out a fan edit of him as Mysterio saying, "Yeah, probably not going to happen." And no, I'd only say this because our Mysterio, that I don't think's dead, Kyle agrees with me. We think Jake
Agreed.
Gyllenhaal's alive. The reason why he made up, because in his mind he was lying. He had no fucking
Yes.
idea about the multiverse. So he might have dreamed that with his Bruce Campbell version or another version of himself, saw the fact that there are multi universes, and then that was that was his lie. Like he saw in a
Also
dream.
very convenient too when you go back to Spider-Man Far From Home. Jake Gyllenhaal's Mysterio character mentions that this is Earth 616 when he's talking to Peter Parker, talking about that universe, and he's from
Yeah, a little
818.
a little too convenient.
A little too convenient that they, it was all scripted and everything, but they just had the right universe.
That was the biggest
Um,
takeaway. It was cool seeing Doctor Strange fight as well. He meets himself, and it's cool seeing him. It's cool seeing so many Doctor Stranges. I guess is what I'm trying to say. You know what I mean? Like
Also,
just
the
seeing.
the Evil Dead Easter egg of him beating the shit out of himself with his left hand is hilarious.
Yeah, that's a great one in itself. Trying to write down something. I'm
And
trying
then
to
it
remember.
goes very meta in the post-credit scene, which we'll get to. Um, Last thing on the Illuminati, do you think any because obviously we've seen variants as the same
Hmm.
actor in different
So
multiverses, and
far,
we've seen
that's the only
different
one we
ones
saw.
too.
Yeah.
Do you think any of Earth 838's Illuminati members will reprise their roles in Earth 616 or in other multiverses as that
I
character?
think as long as they go with an older route, because I read today actually to kind of confirm this opinion that what's his name? So Ian McKellen is the actor of
Yes.
Magneto. He would love to play live action like Dad for Wanda. He said.
Mm-hmm.
So I think if they did that, and they would recast Charles Patrick Stewart as an older version since they go together. So that could be the way in which they like go about that, or they could recast them entirely because you have to realize they are old in real life, and I don't know the way. Like we know we're going to get mutants, and it's lining up for a House of M series.
Yes.
It's just and it's weird because in our MCU, like there physically is no mutant right now, and we don't haven't even seen them. Like we haven't gotten like an Easter egg, like oh this is this is this is this guy. His nickname is Wolverine because he's really angry. You know what I mean? Like there hasn't been any of that kind of thing. The only Easter egg we got in terms of mutants were Wanda's children and WandaVision, and then the boner joke.
Yeah.
Essentially, other than that, it's pretty mutantless. Everyone else got their powers or aren't from Earth, or you know what I mean, or rejected with serums, etc., etc. So it's like there's no mutants yet. So it's cool. I'm curious because our MCU doesn't follow comics to a T. Obviously, it just physically can't. It hasn't. Wouldn't work out. So they obviously will take creative liberties when they get to the House of M, which they are 100% doing because there's tons of interviews where Lizzie Olsen says she would love to be the House of M version of Wanda, which they're practically there.
Yep. And we're getting House of Harkness later on Disney Plus, so.
Which will tie into that even more. So it's just interesting, and I'm just curious the way they're going. So yes, I think actors will reprise the role. I do think they might take creative liberties just because of the age factor. Like realistically, if you want Magneto, who's a pretty big MCU entity, you want to pay homage and have Michael Fassbender, or Ian McKellen do him again. But at the same time, Ian McKellen's really old, and Michael Fassbender's not that young either. So it's like, do you go a different route and cast like a 35-year-old? You know what I mean? And then you can play the role for 25 years if you wanted to.
I think we'll get Haley Atwell because it's pretty much confirmed because she's going to be in What If Season 2. Yeah. The shield she had was straight out of What If. And I think she's going to be a phenomenal Captain Carter. I don't know about Maria Rambeau being like the Captain Marvel. Well, I'm like, we're going to get more of that, obviously. There's still so many unflipped stones from the Captain Marvel universe still because we're getting Miss Marvel in about a month, and then obviously we get the Marvels movie in 2023. 1,000,000,000% think John Krasinski is Mr. Fantastic for the MCU.
Completely agree with that.
There are rumors that I will get to in the multiverse news and notes section about John Krasinski. And then I kind of hope that Black Bolt reprises his role from the Inhumans. I don't know if he will, simply because that show was so short-lived and it wasn't received well. But I think he did a fantastic job in a role that obviously doesn't need speed, but I feel like his aesthetic really fits the role. So I'd like to see all of these characters return as Illuminati members or just members of Earth 616 in the MCU.
Agreed.
I also love that when we get to the top of Woundagore Mountain, which is very, very important for the mutants, we also get Chthon getting named, which is, I was not expecting that whatsoever, which was great. We also get Wanda dreamwalking with a counterpart in Westview where her kids exist and things are normal with no vision, which is great because that also confirms, hello, there's multiple Wandas. Hello, the kids are coming through for the young Avengers. Let's rock and roll, ladies and gentlemen.
So much to nerd about. Also, I want to say, Kyle News, as I told him I was busy. I have to, unfortunately, peace out in a couple minutes, people. I have a baby shower to go to, amongst many other things. That's why Kyle and I are recording. Well, you wouldn't know this because you don't know. Well, if you know this, actually, be kind of scared because you're watching us, both right now and literally. But no, I'm recording earlier than usual. I just want to say, firstly, the movie opens up so many doors, and you literally opened up another door because I could ramble about the X-Men forever, but if I ramble too long, the people I have to go see a baby shower might hurt me. And then you'll never get Dylan on another podcast again. I just want to say before I leave, I like the movie. I had some gripes about like fighting scenes, but nothing major. My rating is probably lower than yours, but I just want to say mine now so people can be like, hey. So I would give it personally an 8.5 out of 10. I'm going to guess the average rating because of all the casual Marvel fans who were like crying. It's like a 7.7 out of 10, and I'll say Rotten Tomatoes is 80%. The best part is, Kyle, I won't even know if I'm right. So, actually, I was listening to the video. And also, I will say my textbook, make sure you leave a review and let Kyle and I know like what to watch going forward. I apologize for having to dip out a little early, but sometimes life gets in the way, and here I am still making it my mission to bring you guys some of my nerdiness.
The Rotten Tomatoes score, Dylan, is 74%, and the audience score is 87.
Actually, that's right. That was close. I'm trying to think of anything else I want to talk about before I dip out.
So then we get Zombie Strange, and he dreamwalks as well, and uses the Souls of the Damned to create his cape, which I was nerding the fuck out about.
Strange was gross.
Zombie Strange was amazing. He goes in, tells Wanda she's wrong. America Chavez, boom, shows Wanda what she really needs to see, and that's other multiverse Wanda telling her that the kids are going to be loved and it's okay.
She does not die.
She does not die, everybody. Elizabeth Olsen signed a 7-movie contract with Marvel at the end of 2021. God damn it. She's not going anywhere. Plus, we're getting more of her story and everything. Like, she is going to be a main cog in the wheel of the MCU for the next decade. Stop thinking she's dead. She didn't die on screen.
And I'm gonna leave Kyle. I'm gonna leave you on a motherfucking mic drop. I'm sorry for the curse. Okay, so look, the end credit scene, right?
Yes, let's talk about that before you leave.
This is why I said move over, Christine. My boy Bennett got a new lady.
Clea is coming through, ladies and gents.
Charlize Theron is MCU canon.
Let's go.
I want to say, if I could legally do it, how I felt after that was this. Mwah. So many beautiful women in Marvel.
I will break down who Charlize Theron's character is for the people. But yeah, I mean, Multiverse of Madness, the way things ended, we get, America Chavez working out in Camartage, becoming a sorcerer, and I gotta hide this here for the people. We get her working out in Camartage, and, she starts training in the mystic arts while Doctor Strange returns to New York and repairs the watch that Christine Palmer gifted to him. This movie was just fantastic, and I know we didn't touch on everything in the movie. I also didn't realize Dylan was leaving mid-podcast. So, I mean, circling back, we get Doctor Strange dream walking and using the Darkhold. He meets Evil Strange, which was fantastic, and, Third Eye opens. They battle with music, which was unbelievable. And then, that whole battle was amazing. I'm still, just floored. I think about that fight scene with the music every single day since I've seen the movie. And, he ends up killing evil Doctor Strange before he climbs up to Woundagore Mountain as Zombie Strange. And, Woundagore Mountain falls. Wanda's not dead, everybody. And then, the movie comes to a close as he takes a walk only to collapse and cry out in pain as his third eye opens. And then Doctor Strange encounters Clea, a sorceress who warns him that he has caused an incursion, which we saw the incursion happen where Evil Strange was at. That looked very much like What If Episode 4, and they have to put a stop to it. She opens a portal to the dark dimension, and the two walk into it. His third eye opens up. Clea is a love interest of Doctor Strange. She is the niece of Dormammu, and there's so much speculation about whether or not Dormammu is potentially a Doctor Strange variant in the dark dimension. This movie does it all, everybody. You should be so excited about where the MCU is going because of this movie, and obviously, the end credits scene, very Evil Dead, breaking the fourth wall, very funny. It ends, 3 weeks pass by. Oh, it's over. And that's how the movie ends. Very Doctor Strange, very Captain America sitting in the chair, post-credit scene. But getting Clea in this movie is unbelievable. I think everybody should be beyond thrilled where the MCU is going, and needs to really take into account that this movie is setting up the next decade of the MCU, and I truly am just... I can't even put into words how excited I am for where the MCU is going because of this movie. You need to brush up on the Marvel lore. You need to brush up on a lot of things if you felt weird about this movie or you quote-unquote didn't like it. Because this movie does a lot for the MCU. So be ready for madness moving forward when it comes to Doctor Strange. We get Doctor Strange will return as well at the end of this movie. I'm giving this movie a flat 9.6 out of 10. Very same exact score I gave WandaVision as a series. This movie was amazing. I loved every second of it. It sets up so much moving forward, and everybody needs to be excited about where the MCU is going. Little bit of streaming platform business news. This is from Frank Pelota, who works as an entertainment business reporter at CNN. This came out today, May 11th, as we record this. Disney Plus has 137 million subscribers, adding about 8 million subscribers, which beats Wall Street estimates. The House of Mouse avoids the Netflix trap. Disney streaming numbers were under the microscope on Wednesday after Netflix's stock tanked last, following its first subscriber loss in a decade. Luckily for the House of Mouse and its investors, Disney Plus grew. Bob Chapek, Disney's CEO, said in the company's letter to investors Wednesday that the company's results, quote, once again proved that we are in a league of our own. A league of our own seems extra pointed after the terrible 2022 Netflix has had. Chapek says Disney Plus's ad-supported tier, which was already announced, will debut in the U.S. by the end of the year. And Disney Plus's better-than-expected growth shows that Netflix's problems may be unique to the streaming service rather than a market-wide issue, for now at least. And we've said that on this show, where Netflix is just struggling because their core projects, like Ozark, took forever to come back, like Stranger Things has taken forever to come back. And not everybody wants these sappy rom-com movies and these dumb dating shows flooding their Netflix. Like, we want variety. We want that good OG Netflix. And it's been a problem since the panorama happened. And that's where, things with Netflix are struggling. Hopefully things pick back up in the summer. There's a lot of new projects coming to Netflix that could change things around for them, which is very exciting. But we're going to do a quick little portion of everybody's favorite segment. Let's get into it. It is the streaming platform Multiverse News and Notes, brought to you by the homies over at Pickup. You guys can go to playpickup.com, start playing the hottest headlines in sports, build up your fan profiles, cash them in for prizes. Playpickup.com. The stills from Obi-Wan Kenobi, guys, are beautiful. This show is going to be absolutely insane. I can't wait for it. There's just so much that's going to come from Obi-Wan in terms of building the Star Wars universe that I'm excited about. I can't wait to dive into it. Hayden Christensen coming back as Darth Vader is going to be unbelievable. I can't wait for it. May 27th is when it all goes down. Ahsoka is now filming, which is very exciting. Michael Waldron says fans totally made up the rumor that Tom Cruise would play Iron Man in Multiverse of Madness. I don't think it was ever an option because of availability. I said to Kevin Feige at one point, could we get Tom Cruise's Iron Man? As it was being talked about online, I was like, yeah, that'd be cool. It was never going to happen. That was one of those things that expectations were blown out of proportion. Moon Knight costume designer says a suit was never made for Jake Lockley, but she wants to make it the black costume that's in the comics. That's what we need. That's exactly what I want. So let's make that happen for Moon Knight Season 2. Trying to see if there's anything else of importance here. Multiverse of Madness writer Michael Waldron is currently writing the script for Kevin Feige's Star Wars film. Let's go. Need that. Elizabeth Olsen on her future as Scarlet Witch. Quote, I sign extensions every time they want me to do a movie. It's always adjusting for me. I don't think of this as the end. Like we told you guys, it's not over. It's not over. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 is wrapped filming. Let's see here. Anything else? Netflix has renewed I Think You Should Leave for Season 3. I've heard very good things about that. This makes sense. The Eternals were originally going to appear in Moon Knight. There was a flashback on the page that sort of showed one of Khonshu's avatars back in ancient Egypt dealing with Ammit being locked away and Alexander the Great. You sort of saw this avatar team up with the Eternals. That makes a ton of sense as to why Eternals was always pegged to be shown at the end of every Moon Knight episode. Anything else here? Oh, yeah, the Percy Jackson trio has been announced. Walker Scobell, Percy Jackson, we talked about that a couple weeks ago. Leah Savage-Jeffries is Annabeth Chase, and then Ariane Simhadri is Grover Underwood. Very excited for that show. We got a trailer for House of the Dragon premiering August 21st on HBO. And Taika Waititi on Christian Bale as Gore the God Butcher in Thor Love and Thunder. In my humble opinion, we have probably the best villain that Marvel has ever had in Christian Bale. Can't wait. Can't wait. There's a ton more stuff coming. Kind of thrown off a little bit. Didn't know Dylan was leaving right away. But make sure you guys are following us on the socials at StreamerSZN on Twitter and Instagram. Follow me on Twitter at KBIZZL311. Follow Dylan at Dylan Mazzola. Check out the website, undergroundsportsphiladelphia.com, for all of our written content. Subscribe to the podcast feeds, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Hit the like button, the bell icon. Comment down below your thoughts on Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness and all that good stuff. And leave the 5-star ratings and reviews on Apple and Spotify. Big thank you to our sponsors, Tomahawk Shades, Kenwood Beer, and Beano Board. All of our info for them in the description of the podcast and on YouTube. But this has been another episode of StreamerSZN, the exclusive streaming platform TV and movie podcast on the Underground Sports Philadelphia Podcast Network. I'm your boy KB. For Dylan, till next time, keep on streaming. Peace.